So today we're jumping straight back into the newest Claressa Shields drama, and seriously, by now absolutely nobody should be shocked anymore. Depending on who you ask online, she's been labeled everything from Papoose's alleged mistress to his entanglement, his pick-me, and even the side chick. Then, of course, everyone else piled on with their own creative nicknames too. And as Chris Cyborg keeps joking, it's officially duck hunting season because Claressa Shields has returned to social media, stirring the pot all over again. Somehow she found another way to post a message that left people completely confused and wondering what she honestly thought she was proving. We're breaking everything down because it still feels like she's completely missing the bigger picture. It honestly doesn't seem to register that none of this is the massive flex she keeps believing it is. No matter how anyone spins the situation, public opinion still hasn't shifted anywhere near her favor. So now, let's examine the post that's got everybody talking. Around 12 hours before I recorded this video, Claressa Shields jumped online and shared a post saying, "LOL, today makes exactly 2 years since me and Pap met," followed by several laughing emojis. Apparently, that's the statement she wanted everyone focused on. But here's the first question that instantly popped into my head. Does anybody honestly believe that's the actual timeline for when she and Pap first met, or when this entire situation really began? Because not very long ago at the BET Awards, she was publicly wondering whether they were in year 2 or year 3 together. Then came the Tamron Hall interview, where conversations about DMs and messages reaching back to 2020 resurfaced. Papoose also attempted clearing everything up during his DJ Vlad interview by insisting it all started around July 2024, yet people quickly pointed out messages allegedly existed much earlier, with claims stretching back to 2022. That's exactly why so many viewers simply aren't buying this newest version of events. At this point, I'm genuinely exhausted by the non-stop timeline changes. And honestly, the biggest problem is that absolutely nothing about this post feels like some incredible victory lap. There's simply nothing here that genuinely screams success because her overall situation really hasn't changed whatsoever. Let me repeat that because it actually matters. If your position remains exactly the same, then what exactly are you celebrating? That's the part that completely loses me. Had Remy Ma never publicly exposed the alleged relationship back in December, most people probably would have never known this was supposedly happening behind the scenes all along. That's exactly why celebrating this anniversary like some huge accomplishment feels incredibly strange to plenty of people. If everything was truly so solid, then why stay hidden for such a long time? According to the public narrative, everything remained private until somebody else dragged it directly into the spotlight. Reports and online discussions have repeatedly claimed there were ongoing efforts to make the relationship public, yet those attempts never seemed to happen naturally. Instead, everything completely exploded after Remy Ma publicly confronted the situation. From that moment forward, the story became absolutely impossible to ignore because every allegation was suddenly out in the open for everyone to debate. The way many people interpreted everything, Remy Ma eventually reached the point where she wanted to force the entire situation into public view after other reported efforts allegedly failed to resolve anything. According to that perspective, once she believed Papoose was still spending time with multiple women, including Claressa Shields, according to the claims spreading across the internet, she decided exposing everything would finally create real consequences. The belief was that his public image meant far too much for him to simply brush aside the backlash. Whether you agree with that interpretation or not, that's still the narrative countless people have been discussing. And that's exactly why this newest social media post has ignited another wave of heated debate. But here's what genuinely leaves me confused. Why celebrate a milestone like this when Papoose remains legally married? That's the question people keep asking because, from the outside looking in, the biggest issue still hasn't changed. She's treating this like some massive relationship achievement. Yet 2 years later, there's still no finalized divorce. 2 years have passed, and the tattoo connected to Remy Ma is still there. 2 years later, the birthday tributes, anniversary posts, and family memories involving Remy Ma remain completely untouched. Those same public reminders never disappeared despite all the endless talk surrounding divorce proceedings. If those proceedings were actually progressing the way everyone claimed, wouldn't there be more obvious signs by now? That's exactly why so many people continue questioning the entire narrative. And here's where everything gets even more interesting. Even if Papoose has emotionally moved on, Claressa Shields doesn't seem interested in letting the public conversation disappear. Instead, she keeps posting content that many viewers interpret as trolling or pure ragebait because she appears to treat the entire situation like a competition. Every fresh post feels like another attempt to collect points instead of simply moving forward. She handles this entire situation with the exact same competitive mindset she brings into every boxing match. Except this isn't a championship fight. According to critics online, she's treating Remy Ma like an opponent instead of recognizing how the public views these circumstances. That's exactly why people keep revisiting older claims that she once admired Remy Ma's fashion, asked for advice, followed her online activity, and closely watched everything she was doing. Whether those claims are fair or not, they've become a major part of the online discussion. Then came the public appearances. Suddenly, the relationship started appearing everywhere, from radio interviews to television programs, award ceremonies, and major media platforms. But judging by the online reaction, many people simply weren't interested in watching that rollout. Instead of improving public opinion, those appearances seemed to generate even more criticism. So here's another question worth asking. What meaningful positive outcome has actually come from this entire situation? That's where supporters and critics completely disagree because many people argue the overall momentum still hasn't gone in her favor. People continue pointing towards several setbacks that have only strengthened that argument. Her movie failed to deliver the success many expected. There has also been non-stop discussion surrounding the reported multi-million-dollar deal, with online speculation questioning where everything currently stands. Inside the ring, she's continued competing, but several major moments have also been surrounded by controversy. Viewers still mention the incident involving Muhammad Ali's former wife, the ongoing tension surrounding Layla Ali, and the chaotic weigh-in before the Franchen-Cruz-Dezern match. Others remember the public confrontation involving Alicia Baumgardner during an MVP promotions event, which simply added another headline to an already controversial chapter. Then came the attempt to break into music, something plenty of critics believed never built any real momentum. Online discussions also constantly compare her fashion choices, hairstyles, makeup, luxury outfits, and overall image with Remy Ma's style, whether those comparisons are actually fair or not. Add the reality television rumors, and even more questions started flooding in after reports suggested a show featuring her and Papoose never happened. Despite every bit of speculation, attention eventually shifted back toward boxing when delays, promotional problems, and ongoing questions surrounding future fights became another major talking point. Critics even claimed the promotion leaned far too heavily on Zeus Network personalities instead of delivering a stacked boxing undercard capable of generating genuine interest. Fair or unfair, every one of those conversations has helped shape the public narrative. So when you put everything together, plenty of people still wonder why this relationship keeps getting presented like some incredible victory. Critics argue Papoose hasn't needed to fundamentally change anything because the dynamic still appears exactly the same from the outside. According to that perspective, he knows the relationship will continue regardless, leaving very little motivation to make any major public moves. Meanwhile, interviews have repeatedly painted a completely different picture from what critics claimed was reflected inside the leaked messages. That's exactly why every fresh social media post instantly reopens the very same debate. Ultimately, that's why this conversation simply refuses to disappear. Many people believe the relationship itself has somehow become the prize, even though being publicly connected to a married man has consistently created backlash instead of admiration. Rather than improving her public image, critics argue every new post only invites another wave of relentless online scrutiny. That's exactly why every celebration gets immediately flooded with thousands of skeptical reactions. Even the comment section perfectly reflected that growing divide. Some users questioned her self-respect, while others accused her of changing the timeline after previously discussing messages that allegedly dated back several years earlier. Another commenter asked why the divorce still hadn't happened if everything was supposedly moving forward. And that's where the story took yet another dramatic turn because even the language itself suddenly seemed to change. After years of hearing non-stop talk about an upcoming divorce, the conversation unexpectedly shifted toward describing the relationship as a separation instead, giving people yet another reason to question what was really happening behind closed doors.